Translator, Nintails. Editor, Fish Creek. Old May's chest rose and fell. Plainly his heart was not at peace. He answered with icy disdain, I cleaved off my arm and delivered it to Great Thunderclap Monastery, returning the divine arts. So why did the monastery still hound me and wrench my family apart? Since the monastery is set on my death, why can't I pass on the Great Thunderclap Monastery's divine art? The old monk slowly shook his head. Junior brother, one arm does not stand for all the divine arts. Old Ma gave a soft, bitter chuckle. Nor do the divine arts I possess all come from Great Thunderclap Monastery. Do you intend to strip away my other divine arts as well? I may have once belonged to Great Thunderclap Monastery, but I relied on these hands to fight my way out. Back then, none of you dared bar my road. You waited until I had a wife and a son. Then you came for me. I was willing to sacrifice an arm for the safety of my wife and son, and I returned you the divine arts of your Great Thunderclap Monastery. His face darkened like storm clouds. But what came after? All of you continued to hunt me down and tore my family apart. The old monk's white brows lifted and sank. Rules are rules. What can be changed are not rules. The coarse mortal world disrupted your cultivation. Junior brother, our intent was never to kill you, but to save you from the abyss of worldly suffering, bring you back to Great Thunderclap Monastery to continue cultivation, to attain Buddhahood through your own effort and insight. If you had not moved your mortal heart back then, and fought your way out of Great Thunderclap Monastery, the Rulai seat of Great Thunderclap Monastery would have been yours. If you are willing to return with me, old Rulai would surely be gratified. The Rulai seat will still be yours. Return? Old Ma stood dumbstruck. Since I slaughtered my way out back then, if I go back, I will naturally have to slaughter my way back. The old monk's expression sank. He sighed. Rulai would be deeply disappointed. The youth upon the arena. Is he your disciple? You taught him Thunderclap 8 strikes, yet you did not teach him the Great Thunderclap Monastery's cultivation method, the Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. His gaze fell on Chin Mu, who was battling another young man atop the arena, and he said, Rulai's Mahayana Sutra is the art to subdue devils. Without cultivating this method, no matter how fierce his Thunderclap 8 strikes become, it will only look imposing and yet be worthless. Today I have brought my disciple forward. Come, meet your senior uncle, Ming Xin. Behind him, a lanky young monk stepped out, Buddhist prayer beads in hand. He pressed his palms together. Senior uncle. The old monk's white brows fluttered upward as he continued. Ming Xin is also a spirit embryo realm practitioner. With my Kakara monk staff as wager, would junior brother match my gamble? Granny C lifted her brows, about to speak, when old Ma answered without expression, All rules and monastic discipline are bullshit. I'll match your gamble. How is my head compared to your Kakara monk staff? The old monk nodded. They are worth about the same. Blind, Granny C, and Apothecary all knitted their brows, wanting to dissuade old Ma, but he was resolute. If Moore loses, you'll take my head back to Great Thunderclap Monastery to meet Rulai. If Moore wins, you will leave your monk staff here and scram as far as possible. Excellent. The old monk faced the young monk, Ming Xin, and said, Today, your master will retrieve the divine arts of Great Thunderclap Monastery from the traitor. If you win, it will be your merit. Ming Xin nodded and walked toward the arena. On the arena, the young man fighting Chin Mu was an expert in sword skills, treading a path similar to senior brother Q of the Li River's 5 disciples. His treasured sword never strayed more than 3 feet from his body. Yet, unlike the rest, his blade was not large. It was like a small dagger 8 inches long, yet far more lethal. This small sword would always dart out from uncanny places, such as beneath the armpits and from the crotch. At times it would even slip into an opponent's clothing, and when Chin Mu clashed face to face with him, shoot out from within the sleeves. With his sword control techniques honed to such a height, he was no weaker than Li River's disciple Qian Chu, and was in truth far stronger than senior brother Q. Moreover, this person also possessed great attainment in battle techniques. His palm skills were intricate, his bearing like a towering mountain. When force surged from his palm, mountain veins would appear across it. Yet the outcome on the arena had already been decided. With Chin Mu's tremendous strength and agile footwork, the young man had suffered disadvantage the moment they first met. Chinmu's dense vital chi had crushed his vital chi out. Chinmu had executed Tempest of the Nine Dragons. Though only 3 layers of force erupted, it had already injured the depths of his opponent's heart. Thus, no matter how exquisite the other's sword mastery, the ending was set in stone. Chinmu dashed in disorder, like thousands of snakes slithering at random through grass. Now suddenly to the east, now suddenly to the west, sometimes forward, sometimes back, bewildering the young man as to where the strike would fall. In the next instant, the man felt pain at the back of his heart as he was smacked away by Chinmu. When the young man landed upon the ground, he stood stunned for a moment, then bowed toward Chinmu on the arena and spoke with gratitude. "Thank you, little brother, for being lenient on me." Although Chinmu's palm had pressed upon the back of his heart with great force just now, the force had not been violent and had not harmed his heart. Otherwise, with Chinmu's strength, he could have shattered all his organs with ease. "Does junior brother need to rest?" Mingxin, who had been quietly waiting there, asked only after Chinmu defeated the young man. Chinmu's gaze fell upon him. The monk was very young, clad in white Buddhist robes without so much as a speck of dust. Even the shoes on his feet were white. He was clean to the point of austerity. Though his hair was shaved, his face was still rather handsome, and one could not help forming a favorable impression upon seeing him. Just as Chinmu was about to answer that he did not, Granny C's voice suddenly rang out. "Rest. You definitely need to rest." Chinmu did not understand Granny C's reason, yet he still heeded her words and sat down to rest, nursing himself back to tip-top condition. His Overlord Body 3 elixir technique was suited for cultivating while running. Even after facing more than a dozen practitioners, his vital chi had not depleted much and was still at its peak, yet his body carried slight fatigue. Granny C brought a cup of water and handed it to Chinmu, whispering, "Muer, no matter what method you use, you must win. Absolutely cannot lose. Your Grandpa Ma wagered his own life against that old baldy." Chinmu's heart skipped. He immediately looked toward Old Ma. Old Ma's face was indifferent, and his voice carried over. "Muer, the unrivaled Overlord Body will never lose. I believe in you." Even with Old Ma saying so, Chinmu still grew a little panicky. Everyone in the village was family, yet Old Ma was closest to him after Granny C. It had been Old Ma back then who, with one arm, carried the stone statue out together with Granny C to pick him from the river, saving his life. If he lost, would he not be the one who caused Old Ma to die? At this moment, Apothecary also frowned. Old Ma believed Chinmu was the unrivaled Overlord Body and trusted him. But Chinmu was not an Overlord Body after all. Now Apothecary began to regret helping Village Chief cover up that white lie. If he had told the truth earlier, Old Ma would not have gambled his life. It was solely because Old Ma trusted Chinmu that he would wager his life with that old monk. Suddenly, Apothecary's gaze turned menacing. "If Moore loses, we'll just have to kill the old Baldy and the young Baldy. We can't let Old Ma die like that." On the arena, Chinmu tried his utmost to steady his emotions, but when this battle concerned the life of his closest kin, how could his heart truly be calm? Mute made a few hand signs and sounds, while Blind propped himself on his crutch and said in a hurry, "No need to remind him. This temple fair is a test. Once it's over, he will have grown up. If he doesn't pass it, he'll still be a small child." After a moment, Chinmu slowly rose and looked at the lanky young monk before him. "Monk, does Buddha exist in your heart?" Mingxin pressed his palms together and answered solemnly, "Buddha is always in my heart." Foosh. Chinmu exhaled a murky breath. His vital chi surged overbearing and intense. From his small body, an undisciplined, out-of-control spirit actually emanated. "Aye!" He stepped forward, and the spirit flowing from him gave people the heroic feeling of a towering god. His voice boomed so loudly that even the deaf could hear, "Have no god, no Buddha, and no devil in my heart. I am God, Buddha, and devil." The moment those words fell, the old monk seated before Old Ma revealed an astonished expression and turned his head to look at Chinmu. Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Fish Creek. Mingxin, the little monk, flew into a fury when he heard that and shouted at Chinmu, "Rebellious! How dare you insult Buddha?" Chinmu let a faint smile rise, and in that instant his heart settled like still water. His gaze brimmed with peerless assurance. He knew that no matter how formidable this little monk might be, no matter what arts he carried, he had already been defeated. Defeated in the contest of one's own frame of mind. The old monk seated before old Ma paused, a trace of hesitation on his brow. What Chinmu had spoken sounded treasonous indeed. He had not only affronted Buddha, but had slighted God and devil as well. Yet to this monk's ears, it did not ring as rebellion. Rather, it carried the flavor of awakened counsel. With no Buddha in your heart, you can become a Buddha. When there's a Buddha in your heart, you will never become a Buddha. With no devil in your heart, you can become a devil. When there's a devil in your heart, you will never become a devil. Ming Shin's realm of heart had not reached that point, so he could not fathom the meaning within those words. But the old monk could. He had only grasped the true marrow of that saying when he had stepped into the celestial being realm, yet even after cultivating to the life and death realm, he still could not shatter the Buddha lodged within his own heart. The deeper one's cultivation, the more one understood the might of God and devil, and how astonishing Rulai truly was. Easier spoken than done. For this lad to spit out the same logic made it feel exceedingly strange. Stranger still, the lad even declared that he had already broken God and Buddha in his heart. Chinmu was far too young. He absolutely could not have touched the true essence of that saying. Since he had not touched its essence, how could he possibly have broken God and Buddha within his heart? To break God and Buddha in one's heart required bitter cultivation and sudden enlightenment. Otherwise, Buddha would remain Buddha, and God would remain God, towering, unbroken within. Anyway, he has not learned the grand technique of our great Thunderclap Monastery, so no matter how high his frame of mind is, he still will not be able to defeat Ming Shin. The old monk lowered his eyes, his breath steadied, as though his heart had calmed. He no longer held the outcome as something worth fretting over. On the arena, Ming Shin's lanky frame began to shimmer with a faint golden radiance, giving others the sensation that a divine, solemn, vast Buddha stood before them, pressing down upon their spirits with incomparable might. Below the arena, folk from the various villages had gathered in a dense throng. Drawn by the allure of battle, they had stirred up quite a commotion. Yet the moment that golden glow poured from Ming Shin's body, all voices vanished at once, the world turning absolutely silent. It was as though countless mouths had shut in the same breath, as if a thunderous shout had exploded directly before their faces. This was the Buddhist path of cultivation, Rulai's Mahayana Sutra. This method differed from the cultivation of other sects. The road it walked advanced from the outside toward the inside. Outside meant the outer shell of the body that had thus gone absolute. Inside meant the heart that had thus gone absolute. Buddhism named them absolute body and absolute heart. Even though Ming Shin had only cultivated to the absolute body stage, the instant the Buddha image manifested, it was like a deafening shout in their faces. Granny C and the rest could not help but grow tense again. Ming Shin had not even struck. Yet his bearing alone had already revealed the severity of his strength, enough to sap Chinmu's battle intent. One might well ask, who would dare strike at Buddha? Chinmu dared. Chinmu gathered body and heart into one. Then heart and mind and fist and chi and body. Everything fused into a single stream. Even his spirit embryo moved in concert with his flesh. With body and spirit unified, he unleashed Tempest of the Nine Dragons. His footwork was Cripple's heaven, pilfering divine legs, swift beyond common sight. Before Ming Shin could even blink, Chinmu had already surged to his front. Before Ming Shin could raise a block, Chinmu's tyrannical punch had already slammed into his chest. Tempest of the Nine Dragons contained 9 layers of hidden force within a single strike. The first layer was like a flame dragon bursting from Chinmu's fist and crashing into Ming Shin's chest, producing a thunderous boom. The golden glow around Ming Shin suddenly flared, and within it, a huge golden bell faintly took shape. Chinmu's second layer arrived on the heels of the first. The second layer was Twin Dragons Twist, 2 dragons coiling around one another as they bored toward Ming Shin's chest. Dang! A bell note rang again. The 2 forces came so swiftly they nearly sounded as one, merging into a deafening boom. After that came the third force of Tempest of the Nine Dragons, 3 dragons rock smash, followed by 4 dragons pounce. 5 dragons devil purge, 6 dragons reincarnation, and 7 dragons thrashing the seas. 7 layers of force erupted one after another. The bell rang 7 times in rapid succession, and the golden radiance enveloping Mingxin finally dimmed, forcing the lanky little monk to step back once. Then the 8th layer, 8 divisions Sky Dragon Force, burst forth, and Mingxin was driven to retreat again. Qinmu's 9th layer, 9 Dragons Tempest, also exploded outward, and the golden glow around Mingxin shattered. Qinmu was taken aback. Even Devil Ape could not withstand the full might of Tempest of the 9 dragons. Each time Qinmu fought it, he would always halt at the 6th or 7th layer, lest he grievously injure Devil Ape. Yet Mingxin did not dodge in the slightest. He had met and blocked all 9 layers head-on. Remembering Granny C's advice, he had not held back at all, and had poured out all his strength. He had even mobilized the power of his spirit embryo divine treasure, yet he had only forced Mingxin back a few steps. You didn't receive the true teachings of Thunderclap 8 Strikes. Mingxin moved, and the vital chi beneath his soles exploded. With lightning speed, he lifted his palm. Thunder rolled outward, and with a single punch, the roar of a dragon could actually be heard. Boom! Before the punch even landed, Qinmu could already see Mingxin's vital chi transforming into a green dragon. Though faint, that dragon looked ferocious, brimming with tyrannical menace. The first layer of force from Tempest of the 9 Dragon had actually taken form from his vital chi. This proved his vital chi was also exceedingly dense. And the most crucial point was that he possessed a perfectly matched cultivation method for Thunderclap 8 Strikes. This was precisely what Qinmu lacked. Qinmu took the strike head-on and felt the first layer of force was unusually mighty. Yet before he could fully receive the first strike, the second layer had already followed. Twin Dragon Twist. The 2 dragons formed by Mingxin's vital chi twisted and turned, wrenching Qinmu's arms crooked. The 3rd layer then followed, smashing directly onto his arms. Blood sprayed from Qinmu's arm. His footwork turned chaotic as he retreated again and again. Stones also flew in all directions as the arena was trampled under his feet. As the 4 dragon chi pounced toward him, Qinmu let out a grunt. His vital chi surged into his eyes, and Heaven's eyes awakened at once. The vital chi in his hand transformed into a long spear. He pierced through the 4 dragons and with a sharp clink stabbed into Mingxin's palm. Before Mingxin's 5 dragons devil purge could burst forth, his vital chi was scattered by that spear. As the 2 forces collided, the spear formed from Qinmu's vital chi also dissipated. Qinmu lifted his brows and stared at Mingxin's palm. A single drop of blood trickled down. His palm had been pricked open by the spear. Qinmu's arms, however, were mangled badly. His wound was far more severe than Mingxin's. Qinmu drew a deep breath, and his vital chi suddenly blazed like kindling catching flame as he charged toward Mingxin. Spring thunder on the lonely East Sea. This time, he did not use the water attribute. He shifted to fire instead. It was like a raging river of flame, plunging from the heavens into the sea, intent on setting the sea itself alight. Mingxin did not budge. He raised his hand to meet it, his eyes limpid and clear. Without the cultivation method, everything is fabricated and only look impressive. Mingxin likewise executed Spring Thunder on the lonely East Sea. Thunder burst from his palms, its rumbling capable of devastating souls. Qinmu's fiery bearing was shattered in an instant, and in that very moment, Qinmu raised both hands and they ignited with flames. Using his hands as blades, he slashed toward Mingxin like a crazed devil. Pig-slaughtering knife skill, sun on East Sea 1,000-layer waves. This was a move steeped in madness. Butcher's knife arts could not release their supreme might without insanity. There had to be the grandeur of a vast sun rising, and the 1,000 layers of waves surging and overlapping. With matchless blade force, it cut down and shattered every power in its path. Slash, 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 slash. 1,000 waves layered upon 1,000 knives. Nothing could not be cut down. Nothing could not be shattered. Mingxin's expression shifted slightly, yet Qinmu's brows furrowed instead. He could see that Mingxin was executing the 8th form of Thunderclap 8 Strikes, 1,000-armed Buddha. The palm of the little monk met his, like a Buddha with 1,000 arms blocking his insane knives. Qinmu's heart sank a little. His hands were not true blades. Mingxin's defense was terrifyingly firm. and it would be hard to chop off his hands. Then I shall go faster. Faster and faster, so fast until you can't catch my knives. Midnight battle across stormy cities. Qin Mu was like a crazed devil continuing to slash madly. In his mind, there was only one thought: faster, 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 so fast that he could behead the Buddha. There's no pig in this world that the pig slaughtering knife cannot slaughter. Qin Mu roared ruthlessly as his vital qi ran rampant. Dang, 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 dang. Ming Xin used thousand-armed Buddha to block, and suddenly he missed one of Qin Mu's hand blades as it struck his throat. The huge bell guarding his body rang out. Then a second blade broke through his defense and struck the same throat again, drawing another ring. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth blade. Qin Mu's blades grew faster and faster, repeatedly striking the same point, his throat. Senior brother, I learned the same skills as you back then, and we know each other very well. There's a flaw in your thousand-armed Buddha. Seated before the old monk, old Ma spoke indifferently. It looks like you have imparted the flaw to your disciple as well.